Tyson says he's going to bet £1 million on Jake Paul knocking out Joshua.
This is what I'm saying. How does that work?
He can't, can he?
Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his. So if it goes any other way, you know.
You give me a headline there, by the way.
If it goes any other way, you know it's fixed, don't you?
Anthony Joshua now?
I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's.
So he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Well, they're like, what about now?
Yeah.
They're like, what about fight him now?
What you gonna want to fight Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to.
Jake Paul's boxing journey has thrived on bold call-outs and headline-grabbing matchups, but now the YouTuber-turned-prize fighter may be facing the most dangerous opponent of his career, Anthony Joshua. While Paul has built a loyal fan base and secured a handful of notable wins, boxing experts are warning that stepping in against a two-time heavyweight champion could be a career-ending gamble. Joshua's knockout power, elite ring IQ, and experience against the
Paul has reached out to Anthony Joshua a few times. I've spoken to Nakisa, Jake's manager. It's never a fight we anticipated. It's never a fight we've targeted. But if you want Jake Paul to be the warm-up fight, and obviously financially it's a great opportunity for AJ, and you want to provide AJ and probably in turn Matchroom with the opportunity to extinguish Jake Paul from the world of boxing, then maybe
more than just another flashy matchup. Promoter Eddie Hearn has confirmed active talks between Joshua's camp and Paul's manager, Nakisa Badarian, calling the bout extremely dangerous for Paul, but also commercially massive. Early 2026 is the likely target date. Paul, however, is undeterred. He's adamant about making the fight happen, claiming it would inject
manager here last week, and he's open to the fight. Any developments on that?
lots. I mean, this bizarre world that we live in, I think Jake Paul is absolutely the front runner to fight Anthony Joshua next. I'm here in New York for meetings about that fight. There's an open dialogue between myself and Nakisa, an MVP. I don't know what to tell you, Bridgie, other than it's mental. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you this is a 50-50 matchup. The whole thing is bizarre. I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul
attract younger fans and bridge the gap between mainstream entertainment and the sport's traditional audience. He positions himself as a disruptor, a breath of fresh air in need of shaking up an old system. Still, many insiders view the potential showdown not as a legitimate sporting test, but as a spectacle. They question whether fighting an aging, yet still deadly Joshua reflects true ambition.
A world title, but if that doesn't materialize, I know the Tommy Fury name has been floated about. Is there any other fighters who may not be world champions that you're looking to face?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Joshua.
I think that's the main one that, we've talked a lot about is if it's not for the title, it's looking at Tommy, if he's reasonable, and then Anthony Joshua. And he's adamant that he wants to make that fight happen at the end of 2026.
Anything's possible. And so I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been DMing back and forth. He wants to make it happen. He called me up.
Carl Froch hasn't minced words when it comes to Jake Paul, dismissing his boxing resume as more entertainment than athletic achievement. Eddie Hearn also sees the spectacle potential in a clash with Anthony Joshua, but warns that Paul is treading on dangerous ground. In Hearn's eyes, chasing a fight with a proven heavyweight champion isn't just bold, it's reckless. The payday would be enormous, but so would the risk. matching an inexperienced
And Joshua here. Now, is this fight done? What are we talking about?
You know, it's going to happen. Like, seriously, it's going to happen. We were talking with Turkey tonight, negotiations live in person, which are always fun. But it's going to happen, and it's just such an exciting fight that crosses the whole globe. When you ask a lot of people about certain boxers, they don't know their names. And everywhere I've been going, I just talk about Anthony, and I don't have, you know, I'm global, so it's just such a good fight for the sport of boxing, and people will think I will die, but I will show them why I can rise against all odds and beat him.
Everyone's been wanting to see happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the United... Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is politics, people trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight.
Whether by a crushing knockout or by public embarrassment. Hearn makes no secret of his belief. The danger far outweighs the hype. Andre Ward shares that skepticism, brushing off the idea as a circus
my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever, and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh, crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects in Jake. But in the middle there, I don't know if she would know or, you know, whatever, but she essentially says that Jake was scheduled to fight Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Raphael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next.
Many pros agree, claiming Paul's fights lack the legitimacy of true boxing contests. Still, the noise around the matchup keeps growing. Saudi boxing chief Turki Al-Sheikh has openly backed the bout, even revealing that Paul has verbally agreed, accepting a jaw-dropping 99-1 purse split in Joshua's favor. That revelation makes one thing clear. Paul is willing to risk...
Lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony, he took a big L with Daniel Dubois. But Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. He's not a joke. You know what I'm trying to say? He took an L there, but Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect of what he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%. It's happening, it's positioning, it's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face-to-face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's going to fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly going to be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3 because obviously the last two were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against Derek Chisora.
Even if it means stepping straight into the most dangerous night of his career. Roy Jones Jr. framed a potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua bout as a win-win scenario, but only if approached with caution. While he agreed the fight could happen if Joshua was genuinely interested, Jones stressed that it needed to make sense for Joshua both competitively and financially. Acknowledging Joshua's credentials as a former world champion, Jones was blunt. Did you see how Anthony Joshua handled Francis Ngannou? Jake Paul would face the same
fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitates a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him, and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world, make the fight.
Let's talk about AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul at the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably.
A very different take. The former heavyweight champion boldly predicted that Paul would knock out Joshua, declaring, Jake Paul chins AJ 100%. I'd back him. Fury even claimed the matchup was a legitimate 50-50 fight, going so far as to wager $1 million on Paul to win. His remarks set off a storm of debate in the boxing community, with many questioning whether his prediction was
anybody for that matter. If, like you said, if you've been in a fire, how dare anybody come to me and act like I'm supposed to fight you and, you know, you're a YouTuber that turned to boxing and I'm a champion walking around here and y'all acting like I need him. Do you think they're justified in feeling annoyed when people come at them like that about Jake Paul?
I understand completely where Canelo's coming from. If I was an active fighter, I wouldn't entertain it either. You know, when you in the fire and you still in the game like that, you got real issues and beef going on. You got real opponents, like dudes that can really hurt you, that you need to figure out how to beat them and when we go fight and all that kind of stuff. I don't have time to entertain the circus. I don't have time for you to have my name even associated with a dude that ain't really a fighter like that. So I understand completely with it. He ain't got a lot of time to entertain that kind of stuff, but you know how it goes, Stephen A. People say they're not interested.
Paul, never one to shy away from a challenge, embraced Fury's confidence. He vowed to test the bet and upped the ante, offering $10 million on himself to win. Critics have often dismissed Paul's opponents as either non-boxers or past their prime fighters, but Paul defended his record, pointing out that he had tried to secure a bout with Tommy Fury, a fight he claims Fury himself turned down. This marks a defining moment in Jake Paul's boxing career. While he's racked up wins over former MMA
money, so on and so forth, I can't see it. I just can't. It just obviously as someone who's been a unified heavyweight world champion going in against Jake Paul, it doesn't sit right. Yeah, and it's like I'm also talking from a health and safety factor. It's like he's maybe a cruiserweight. Yeah. Anthony Joshua's a very big, strong heavyweight, and if he turns it on, it's not just a risk of a knockout. It's a much bigger risk. So I can't see it.